Rajeeve Kaul. I'm here to talk about CXO perspectives on technology and business transformation. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So before I get into the details, let me give you a little bit about my background and how I got here. So historically, I have had experiences across multiple organizations, industries. Started out my early career in the analytics space, built capabilities around application of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on in multiple companies, set up centers of excellences, ran data warehousing and technology groups. Moved in the last several years into pricing and P&L responsibility type roles in Fortune 500 companies again. My current role is as an officer with global responsibilities with McDonald's. So that's me in a nutshell. What I'm here to talk about with you today is transformation and really the tension between analytics, business, and some things that I've learned as I've gone on this transformation journey, some of the experiences and some of the learnings that I've had. My point of view as I talk about this is going to be very much business focused, and I'm going to talk about some of the blind spots that I've observed that hopefully you don't have fallen into some of those traps if you can vicariously learn from me. So let's talk about the first one. First topic I want to focus on is the aligning of data strategy with business strategy. This is really, really critical to do upfront if you want your transformation effort to work. Let me give you a brief story of an experience I had with a large corporation that I was in an executive leadership role with. There's a new CIO in town, let's just say. There's a town hall for all the IT and analytics folks. And a big part of the transformation overall for this business that the CIO is talking about is the agenda, the digital agenda, and IT's role in making sure the systems and the capabilities are built out and we can capture all the data and know everything about the customer. It's a new IT website and an app. The entire team is turned around a business that's struggling, and we will be able to grow our business through this digital transformation. IT is investing a ton of money in this situation. They will create loyalty platforms that will support growth. This has been communicated externally to the street and to the investor community that this omni-channel strategy will be the savior. Unfortunately, the first thing that people didn't look at as we went down this path was we're dealing with very deep legacy systems. And legacy systems have constraints. In this case, they didn't have the ability to capture or even execute targeted offers. So you can invest all you want in this technology, but unless you change the guts out of the basic transactional systems of the company, you really can't execute the strategy, right? So what I want to call out to you is that the entire conversation starts with goals of the business. Goals are one part. Defining SMART goals is difficult. Defining a goal is pretty easy. But goals need to be connected to business strategy. And business strategies then will lead to sub-strategies and tactics in themselves. And it's the tactics and the work within the tactics that has to get executed to deliver on the goal. In order to do this efficiently, you need a decent work plan. The work plan, you need to look at it in a consulting speak from a me-see point of view, right? It has to be items that need to be done that are complete, that are necessary, that are sufficient. Analytics in this entire conversation is typically going to be a support function. Analytics is about making sure that the decisions are being supported with the facts that are being required to deliver the strategies that are the ones that are then helping us achieve the goal. And it's not the front end of this. And the mistake that we made was in that particular story, we started with the technology, we started with the analytics, and we got ahead of ourselves, not realizing that to achieve the goals, you have to connect all of these different pieces together. So my first lesson is about the precursors. I would suggest to you that investing in analytics, it's a little bit sometimes like taking up an exercise program. When you transform through data, when you transform through analytics, which is the in thing nowadays to talk about and focus on, sometimes it may take time to see these benefits. I'll give you an analytics story. I worked with a very large Fortune 500 automotive retailer, and the gentleman responsible for the systems was very forward-thinking. In the 80s, this person had put in place the capability to be able to track a change in an item number in the system. In multiple retail and warehousing distribution businesses that I worked, this is one of the fundamental flaws that you find in a transactional system in these retail and distribution businesses, that when you switch an item number, the history gets lost. So longitudinal analysis is just not enabled in the core process. When you try to then figure out what happened 2 years ago, the same item numbers can be repurposed. Today, it might be a battery. Yesterday, it might mean a brake. The day before, it might mean something else. So if you haven't put in that investment up front, which in this case was put in the 80s, they put this in, the ability to capture that historic transactional insight, then when the need arises, you can't address it without a massive redo of your systems and processes. So think about investing in some of these capabilities as a little bit like taking up an exercise program. The results may not be immediately evident, but in the long run, it's definitely what you get paid out from. Another set of experiences I want to talk about is from the perspective of centralizing IT data and analytics functions. I've been down this story several times before. The key hypothesis that I've noticed when you talk about centralization is efficiency. We'll reduce cost, capabilities. We'll have a team of experts now in one place that can provide much better capabilities to us, that can enhance our effectiveness. We'll have good governance, much better insights. So let me give you an example of a story I experienced and participated in a large distribution Fortune 50 company. We had a business where each business had its own resources and capabilities doing analytics. There was a proposal that was put forward to centralize this analytics function, bring everybody into headquarters. We spent about a year trying to get alignment, right? And we thought we had everything worked out. And then we ran into all kinds of headaches. And as we fell into these situations, we went, but I thought we had covered this ground. So my thinking here is that when you're in large corporations, in large businesses, and centralization is the theme of the day, keep in mind that corporate functions want to centralize. They want to centralize because there is a fundamental belief at headquarters often that folks in the region, in the far out offices, don't know what they're doing. They're not capable. Once we can get control, we'll be able to do so much better. Whenever you see this hypothesis playing out, ask yourself, where is that data? Where are the facts? Because in many cases, there are incomplete facts and a lot more perceptions. And if you don't follow the data, the next leadership will still be struggling, trying to complete this journey, and unsuccessfully. Whenever you go down this path of centralizing in a transformation, just make sure that you get alignment early, you get alignment often, you get alignment and realignment through the process, and then get some more alignment across all the stakeholder groups. And foremost, remember, change is not something you do to someone. Change is something you do together with others. A common story, another very common story I hear is whenever you talk about centralization, regions, distributed operations, capabilities, the story I hear is the issue is them. It's the other department. I could do better. If we could start it all over again, we would have done it like this, or I would have done it like this. Be careful when you hear this. Remember, people always have agendas, so be careful and wary. If you're making commitments, moving forward, be ready to walk the walk. And always be real when talking about change. Change does not happen without a lot of effort. And if you want to know how well your change could succeed in your transformation, look back into the history in that company. Look back into history for evidence to see where are the examples that have seen success in this business on transformation, and then what are the fundamental truths that made that transformation successful. That'll teach you a lot. Another story I hear often is around integration, integrating systems, getting the new technology, moving to the cloud, better insight. I want to talk to you about a business that I worked with, razor thin margins, very large company, multiple stakeholders, all talking about the fact that, look, systems are old, antiquated, don't support our future business. The call to action was that, hey, we're seeing failures where we cannot even print invoices sometimes in time. So, you know, if you got a business and you can't even print out your invoices, then you got a problem, right? You can supply all the product you want, but you can't collect the money, so you're kind of dead. So the discussion was often about systems being archaic, systems about to fail. In that story, the curveball was our competitors are transforming, so we are being left behind. Our competitors are transforming, we are being left behind. And unfortunately, if we don't transform, we will be gone. So if you look at that kind of a story, a fundamental belief in that story is that if we can integrate systems across multiple parts of our business, we can get much better outcomes. The question is, what are the assumptions behind that story? Ask yourself that. Integration will make information available. Well, are the base core systems capturing that information that you want available through integration? Decisions will be better and outcomes will be different. That's one of the integration mantras. Well, if decisions will be better and outcomes are to be different, who is making those decisions? Is it the same people? Is it different people? Do they understand how to do it differently? Ask yourself, what are you encountering? Are you encountering the bias inherent in people in these situations, or are you encountering a complete story based on facts? That'll help you figure out a little better which way to move. One of the problems I've noticed is that often the transformation efforts, new capability acquisition efforts, often they are led by the staff functions. So marketing, corporate marketing, strategy, those are the kind of people that'll be behind transformation efforts. In reality, you want the operating heads to be behind the transformation. The people who are in the line functions that are responsible for delivering the results are the ones that should be the ones that need to be in the forefront of making sure that things that are needed are actually the ones that are being delivered. Ask yourself, where does the buck stop in your company? And where the buck stops is where that leadership should be coming from, not some other place. Remember, data and analytics are at one end of the spectrum. From data analytics and better tools, you will be able to find yourself on a journey to going to a better skill set. So data, analytics, tools, skill set. And then looking at outcomes differently, a willingness to challenge assumptions, an ability and willingness to change processes. All of these have to come into place before you can get a different outcome. A better, different outcome doesn't happen because you got better data, better tools, better skill sets. All of those are necessary, but they are not sufficient for a better outcome. A better outcome requires a very different mindset that you have to be willing to work with. In reality, always remember, people have agendas. Those are always going to be real. In reality, data is foundational. Bigger databases, more complex databases will not necessarily lead to better outcome. They will lead to a lot more cost, but it is our ability to take that data and get to an outcome that you've got to probe on and understand which of those components of that capability exist before you start throwing a ton of money at this. And don't forget, the goal is not better data or better analytics and transformation. The goal is a better business outcome, which is measured for most companies in terms of an impact to a P&L or a balance sheet or free cash flow statement of some sort. So that's what you're chasing. And focus on the right issues. Remember, people who have been successful, widely successful in their careers, without data, suddenly won't adopt the mantra of data and become data savvy. They will need to figure out how to operate differently with data they never had and make decisions differently. So don't underestimate the effort of changing behavior that has been built up over decades in an organization. Bottom line, keep in mind, at the end of each spending bonanza in a business is a bill that comes due at some point, and that bill has to be paid. The question is, who will be paying the bill once the bonanza stops? Thank you for listening to me. Hopefully you enjoyed the talk. Happy to take any questions, but appreciate again the time.